Joining us now, Republican governor from Virginia, Governor Bob McDonnell. John Meacham and Luke Russert are back at the table. Governor, good morning. Welcome back
Hi,
to the
Mika.
show.
Thank you.
You're going to be hanging out in Sweden.
I am.
With Mark Brzezinski.
With Ambassador Brzezinski.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ambassador. That's right.
Yeah, we're real excited about it. I spent some time in China with him on a marketing trip last spring, and he invited me to come over. So we're going to be doing Germany and England and Sweden in a swing here in just a couple of months and tell the Virginia story and bring some jobs from Sweden, Germany, and England back to Virginia.
Very cool.
Bob is for jobs.
Still am.
How's everything going? What's unemployment rate there?
5.7%, lowest in 3 years, Joe, lowest in the Southeast. So we're very excited. We've been working just laser focused on bringing jobs and opportunities. It's working.
Wait, what's happening? You're obviously working with the legislature, the entire government working together. Why are you guys sitting at 5.7%?
There's been a tradition in Virginia to keep the fundamentals strong, taxes, regulation, litigation, keep them low. We got great universities. We've really laser focused on economic development, which a couple of things. One is we've got about $130 million of new money for various incentives and tax credits. We've focused on small business incentives. Those create 71% or so of the new jobs. And I've been running around the country and really around the world in Asia and Germany telling our story and asking businesses to relocate. We've had a number of big companies from Microsoft to Bechtel, Norgrone, and others.
Okay. I understand that. I mean, but you guys are sitting at 5.7%.
Yeah.
North Carolina is over 10%.
Yes.
South Carolina is over 10%. Florida is over 10%. There's a big difference between Virginia and everybody else in the South.
There's an intangible, too. We're really positive and optimistic about business, about the private sector.
Look at him. He looks positive and optimistic. Bob's for jobs.
Well, it's a contrast with the president, who seems to talk down sometimes to Wall Street and business, and we do just the opposite. We realize that those dreamers and entrepreneurs can make a huge difference and make it a lot easier on us if they do their job well. And, obviously the proximity to Washington, D.C. with defense contracting and technology does make a difference to us, too.
Mika, what do you think of that?
Well, I don't think the president looks down on Wall Street and businesses. I think he's just trying to get some fairness into the system and some transparency. And at the same time, I think he calls them out on some of the practices that have been a little difficult for this country. Fair enough?
Well, reforms were needed after the 2008 meltdown. Some of those were needed. But I've just seen a little bit more than that, Mika, more of a sustained blame of Wall Street and business and others for the unemployment rate. And I'd say if you're the commander-in-chief, you ought to take some responsibility. And we're over 8.2% now for 38 consecutive months. I don't say that's business's fault. I think it's some of the policies on jobs, on energy, taxes, deficit, debt that the president's put in place that's not helpful to free enterprise. So, again, I'd contrast 5.7 with a national 8.2, and I think we're doing a few things a little different. Had $1 billion in surpluses the last couple of years. So I think there is a little bit of a contrast. I think an executive can make a difference.
Not to take anything away from what Virginia's done, Governor, but
good.
Wouldn't you argue, wouldn't you argue that the role of federal employment, particularly in Northern Virginia, the public sector plays a role in the economy of Virginia in a formidable way?
Oh, sure, some, but we're lower than Maryland's. They're at 6.5. D.C. much higher than that. The surroundings, again, lowest in the Southeast. And most of the new job growth in Virginia, John, has been private sector. It's not been public sector. Now, some of it's defense contracting. I would argue with that. But we're, even with some of the downturn in the defense spending, we've still seen growth, not just in Northern Virginia, but really all over the state. And a lot of it's in the tech sectors, finance sector, aerospace, wine, tourism, film. We're promoting those things around the country.
Would you agree that it's two wings of a plane, that it's not just all private sector, it's not just all public sector? I mean, to some extent, the success of Virginia should be a model for really a more nuanced conversation about what makes the economy work, as opposed to kind of where things end up in a partisan conversation.
I think that's right. But if you look at the combination, Virginia, a lower tax rate, we keep regulations low. We're a right-to-work state. Yeah. That's why Indiana and others are looking after that model. Great universities. We focused on research, positive about vineyards, incentives for business. I mean, it really is not one thing. It's that, and it's bipartisan. We've had Republicans and Democrats working together on these initiatives, and we just had to have collective success in that.
Governor, a recent Gallup swing state poll showed that President Obama has done extremely well, and your state was polled here. In the last few weeks, has done very well amongst independent women. Back last year, Mitt Romney was beating him amongst independent women, and now he seems to have taken the lead by that. Some polls even as much as 14 points. How much do you feel that but the invasive ultrasound abortion bill that was in Virginia had to do with this phenomenon.
Well, the poll came out yesterday. Roanoke College poll showed Mitt Romney up by 6 points in Virginia. So I'd say the governor's been doing pretty well, and I predict he'd win the state. It's a right-of-center state. You know, I think Virginia overall reflects America, which is generally split on the issue. I'm pro-life. I think if we embrace a culture of life,
but you did pull the legislators off when they were pushing.
Yeah, and you wrote some about that, Joe. We asked them to make some amendments.
Good move. I just don't think it's going to help with women voters. When my wife, when my conservative, pro-life wife, who's never voted for a Democratic president in her life, goes, what the hell's going on in the Republican Party? You know we're in trouble. So
how did that one spin out of control? How'd you lose the
Mika, we had 860 bills this session. One of them reached my desk on abortion. So to say that it was, you know, some broader trend is not the case. I think, you know, there's a majority pro-life legislators. So this bill was supported by Republicans and Democrats. At some point in the committee process, I realized that it was a little bit more than we should have. So I actually asked the legislature to make some amendments so that it was amended, and I signed it. But this bill is 9 states have a mandatory ultrasound, 23 states have some form of ultrasound. But here's what I think. I think what women and men are mostly concerned about this election cycle are jobs, spending, taxes, energy, debt, deficit. This is going to be the issue to control. The majority of the people that have been displaced over the last couple of years in this economy have been women from jobs. That's what they're really concerned about, the debt of their kids when they get out of college. So I really think, you know, while there has been some discussion of social issues in the Republican primary on everything from abortion to contraception, these are issues that are going to come up in the general election. But it's the fiscal issues. Fiscal issues are going to dominate in how people vote in November.
Let's talk about the top issue. And that is, how does a guy from my neighborhood, the Redneck Riviera, I'm seeing a green jacket behind me, guy named Bubba who's never taken any lessons before, how does he win the match? Do you golf?
For 45 years, but not as well as Bubba.
How many lessons have you taken in your life?
Not many. It's all been trial and error, and I've hit some shots off of pine needles in the woods, and I can't even get it out of the woods. So
you can't hook them like 30, 40 yards.
What a class act. I was rooting for him. I don't watch much golf on TV, but that shot coming out of the woods and that the courage and fortitude down the road, keeping those emotions in check until that tap in and his mom coming up. What a marvelous moment in golf.
You know what he's going to do next probably is go eat dinner with Trump. Oh, wait, no, that's you.
That was last night.
Dinner with Trump last night.
How's Donald?
Well, the Donald, as you know, is one of the newest wine owners in Virginia. He
makes a good vodka.
I didn't get any of that, but I tell you what, he does make us some great wine, and I just happen to have myself. Hey, listen, Shameless Martin O'Malley from Maryland gave you a jacket that was pretty tacky, so I brought some Virginia wine for all of you. Well, this is some of Donald Trump's great wine. He is the owner of the largest vineyard in Virginia now. Just bought it from Patricia Kluge about 6 months ago. So we've got we're the 5th largest wine producing state. I hate to say, sadly, behind New York and the West Coast states, but we are coming on.
All right.
We had a great wine reception at Trump Tower last night, and so I've got you some of Trump's wine to taste.
I love it, Governor. Thank you so much.
A lot of jobs. You see wine, I see jobs.
Governor Bob McDonnell, thank you very much.
Thanks, Mika. Thanks, Joe.
So he's wearing